I wanted to cover because like not a lot of people are talking about it. Yeah, so this is like the actual like Vatican website. Apparently on the West Bank, there's a town called Taibeh, where it's an entirely Christian village in like the Palestinian region, and there's a Latin church there, as well as like Latin, Greek Orthodox, and Melkite churches. And apparently Jewish settlers have attacked the Taibeh residents, targeting Christians. The priests call an international and ecclesial community to send field missions to document the damage and worsening situation. I don't really know because I'm not there and I can't really see it, but this is the reports coming out, again, from the Vatican. Where's Taibeh? It's on the West Bank. It's not Gaza. So this isn't like the Hamas area. This is like kind of north of it. So we have here, let's see, violence by, this is a report by Roberto Cetera. Violence by Jewish settlers in Palestine has now also struck the residents of Taibeh, the only entirely Christian Palestinian village. Taibeh is the ancient Ephraim, the location mentioned in the Gospel of John where Jesus took refuge after the resurrection of Lazarus, John 11:54. And where the Christian community has extremely ancient roots. The village is home to 3 churches, Latin, Greek Orthodox, and Melkite, whose pastors, Fathers Bashar Fawala, Jack Nobel Abed, and Daoud Khoury, issued an appeal last night calling on Israeli authorities to prevent further settler violence. Which so far has largely occurred in the presence of passive Israeli soldiers. The attack on Taibeh yesterday, the group of Jewish settlers set fires near the Byzantine Christian cemetery and the Church of Al-Qadr St. George, dating back to the 5th century and one of the oldest, most venerated places of worship for Christians in Palestine. These arson attacks follow a series of violent acts against the town's Christian residents, which have been escalating in recent weeks. The settlers have also damaged olive groves, Taibeh's primary source of income, and are preventing farmers from accessing and working on their land. Appeal to the international community. The eastern part of the town, 3 Priests Lament, has become an open target for illegal Jewish settlement outposts that are quietly expanding under the protection of the Israeli army. The priests are calling on the international and church communities to send missions to the area to document the damages and progressive deterioration of the situation. Like stuff that has to deal with like this area is really hard to actually know what's happening because again, like everybody has their own interests, right? So like this could be like 100% true, and it's kind of like it still leads a little seeding of doubt in your mind. It's the same thing where like, it's the same thing when like Israel claims something as well, right? Like I'm not making a specifically like kind of targeted thing to like Israel in particular, but anytime like, Hamas does something or, like something happens in Gaza, it's always like kind of hard to know what the truth is when everybody has their own like propaganda, right? But again, this is like from the Vatican news, so like unless like somebody fucked up over there, I mean it seems like there actually is something going on at least, right? And there's some videos of it which we'll take a look at as well. In recent weeks, settler terrorism has targeted not only Taibeh but also several other Palestinian villages near illegal settlements such as Ain Samia and Kufr Malik, where settlers have set fires to homes, vehicles, and crops. At the end of June, 4 young Palestinians trying to resist the violence were brutally killed. Damn. In Ain Samia, located along the Jordan Valley, settlers attacked and destroyed the local aqueduct, the spring that, through a Roman-era canal system, still provides water to hundreds and thousands of Palestinians all the way up to Ramallah. The Christian residents of Taibeh live peacefully alongside Muslims from neighboring villages. Their troubles began in 1977 when the Israeli government confiscated dozens of hectares of nearby land and illegally established a settlement called Rimonim. Large agricultural areas were taken from Taibeh's farmers to build roads connecting various Jewish settlements. In the days leading up to yesterday's attacks on Christian sites, settlers had already targeted the village outskirts, setting fire to a house and several cars. Hundreds more hectares of Palestinian land are at risk of confiscation to further expand settlements. The greatest concern of the Taibeh Ephraim Christian residents today is that with global attention focused on the immense tragedy in Gaza, the increasingly serious threats to the survival of the world's oldest Christian community may not be fully grasped by the international community. So, okay. So again, I always try to come at this from like motive, right? So what is the motive here? So there are settlements, right? So basically the Israeli government is basically giving land, they're basically giving away land to Jewish people specifically. Is that true? That's the reason? Like, surely there's a different reason. Like, I feel like I'm missing something here. It doesn't make sense. Because if that's true, like, I'm obviously against that. That's ridiculous, right? Like, that's crazy. Voctor says that's the point of the country existing. Like, say there's like some wilderness where like nobody's there. Like, there's basically like no, like it's in the outskirts of like, you know, somewhere where there's basically nobody, and they're like, okay, well, you know, we can give this land to people that need land, you know, that are from places being persecuted. Like, I don't have a problem with that, but like, if there's already people there and you're like, hey, we're taking this land now, like, just cuz, and we're giving it specifically to Jewish people, like, that's kind of weird. Letting Jewish people run Muslim or Christian people off of their land. It's called a victim narrative leaflet. Well, I mean, that's what I mean. That's why I kind of want to know, like, what's going on, because there's clearly something going on. Like, there's videos of like the fires. So like, I'm trying to understand the motive here, right? What could possibly be the motive? Jewish extremists from Israel carried out attacks on the Christian town of Taibeh on the West Bank. They set fire to houses and crops in an effort to force Christians from their homes. Would they just want to like take over the area? They need more fertile land to farm. So like the other areas are desolate, so they can't farm it. So they're like, well, we'll just take these. Like, I mean, I don't know, this whole thing just doesn't, it just doesn't track. Like, it's weird, you know what I mean? Like, anyway, there's a whole video on it, so let's check out this video, because I actually do want to see it, and like, see it, like, maybe there's some context I don't understand, but like, this doesn't make sense to me.
In case you are still on the fence about Israel,
and this video is by Jimmy Dore. This reads much more like an Islamic false flag. They're already willing to mass kill Christians, as we were seeing. Well, it depends on the area, right? Like, I don't think it's fair to say that like all the Muslims want to mass kill Christians. Like, I mean, that does occur in a lot of places, right? Like, you have that happening in Africa, but I don't know about that being the case everywhere. I don't think it necessarily means it's the same everywhere. Like, I can see there being places where like there is coexistence. And again, like the Vatican, like, why would the Vatican say this then? Like, is the Vatican like controlled? Because why would they say that there's Christians and Muslims like living together like fine in Taibeh? And then this is what I mean. Like, I feel like the news source here is pretty reliable, I'd say, right? Because like, what could they possibly gain from saying, like, what could the Vatican possibly gain from lying about this and doing a like promoting a false flag attack onto Christians? Like, what, to like lower, like what, to basically empathize more with Palestine and Gaza? But like, why? You see what I mean? Like, I don't get it. Like, it doesn't make sense. It's a prelude to a new crusade. You wouldn't trust the Vatican with anything, Troll Barnium. I guess you don't trust the Vatican to like have to try to protect Christians. I don't trust Israel, Palestine, or the Vatican. I'm also in that camp, kind of.
Now burning down the Christian town of Taibeh in the West Bank.
This is on the Jimmy Dore show.
Judeo-Christian values, Jimmy, at work.
The village is known for its uniquely all Christian population, and Israeli settlers are burning it down. Cars, lands, and home all attacked in a series of violent pogroms aimed at
this is such a weird story.
Palestinian community. So these are brown people who are Christians.
Yeah.
So that's what this is. So just so you know, this isn't a religious war. This is a mob war. And the Zionists just did a hit on another very powerful family. And it's the Christian family.
Yeah, there's no the Christians or the Jews. I hope people have picked that up at this point.
Right.
Okay, so like, oh yeah, we're all together till I don't like one specific thing you think, then we're going to be separate. So every time somebody lumps them all together, they're wrong. But I'm surprised at Christians here that do lump all the Christians together that have no idea about this, and I don't think they'd like to know.
Right. So
like, I'm just gonna take this like for I'm gonna analyze it.
Here's some of it. Here's just a little bit of video.
This is such a weird event. Like, this one's like, and it might just be like my lack of expertise in like the geopolitics of the region, but it's just like, it's just weird.
That's the kind of stuff they're doing. That's a car.
Brianna says I like Jimmy, but he promotes conspiracy before all the evidence is in.
Burning. That's the houses and land.
Okay, so there's video evidence that this is occurring.
And
Some kind of fire is occurring.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Taibeh is what it looks like. Taibeh is a Palestinian village in the West Bank, 15 kilometers northeast of Jerusalem and 12 kilometers northeast of Ramallah, in the Ramallah and Al-Bira Governorate of Palestine. According to the Palestinian Central Bureau of Statistics, Taibeh had a population of 1,340 people in 2017.
You know, I've never understood that. You know, King, like I don't I don't advocate for any violence against any religious group, obviously, right? I just want to make that clear. But I don't understand why Christians simp so hard for Israel. I've never understood it. It's always been like kind of weird to me. Like, there's always like these charities, like charities that are like, oh, we need to like give money to Jews, and I'm like, why? You know, like I don't get it. They're like, yes, they need help because they're Jews and we're Christians and they're our allies, so we have to support them. And I'm like, what? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. You know, like there's plenty of Christians that are suffering. So it's like, why specifically, like, are you making like a religious grounds that like we have to give money specifically because they're Jews? I don't understand that. You know, and again, I'm not trying to make a we shouldn't help people argument. I just think I've always seen that like it's been like specifically Christians like supporting like another religion. It's just weird to me. You know, I don't know why you would do that, you know? Derek says, what's your stance on opening Israel's borders? I don't care, to be honest. I'm gonna be real, I don't give a shit. They can, like, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not from Israel. I'm not from Israel, and my one friend that was in Israel is gone, is not there anymore, so... It's complicated and goes back decades of propaganda. It's the Bible says to support the Jews. Is that the thing? Is that people are using like a verse that basically says something about like loving the chosen people or something? Is that what's going on? Man, that's wild. I'm not making a statement about specific religions being bad. That's not what I'm saying. I just don't understand the hard simping. You don't see the... I mean, guys, where's the organization of, like, where's the Christians for Muslims? Like, where's that? You know what I mean? Like, you don't see that. You don't see, like, the Muslims, like, where's the poor Christians need help. Like, Muslims rally together to, like, help Christians. You know, the Christians need help. Jews rally together to help Christians. Like, there's nothing like that. You know, like, I don't get it. Like, I just don't understand. I see commercials all the time about giving money to Jews for Christians. I see that all the time.
Taibeh is one of about a dozen majority Christian villages in the West Bank. So these aren't Muslims. This isn't Hamas. These are 3 Palestinians.
I swear to God, people are going to use this to say I'm a Nazi. I swear.
In the West Bank clash with Israel settlers and troops. They call it a clash. Sounds like just a spontaneous fight broke out.
A clash.
So what I say is find someone who loves you as much as the Western media loves using the passive voice when describing...
Quickly say you support Zionism? Dude, I support America. That's what I give a fuck about. Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't give a shit, honestly. Like, I'm gonna be real.
Palestinians, because that's what that is.
My interest in this solely is that Christians are being targeted for their religion. That's my personal interest in this story.
So the headline should be Israel kills Palestinians in the West Bank. That should be the headline. But the headline is 3 Palestinians killed in the West Bank clash. So it wasn't, we don't know who did it. It wasn't the Israelis who killed them.
Nationalism is bad as well. Well, I mean, I guess it depends what you mean by nationalism. I don't think there's anything wrong with prioritizing your country first. I don't see what's wrong with that.
Isn't that awesome? I think it is. So here's what happened. This is according to the Washington Post. Dozens of armed Israeli settlers attacked 2 Palestinian villages in the occupied West Bank late Wednesday, setting homes ablaze and sparking a confrontation with Palestinian residents that drew in Israeli security forces.
Okay, so they were helping then. Dozens of armed Israeli settlers attacked 2 Palestinian villages in the occupied West Bank that drew in Israeli security forces. Okay, did they help them then? I mean,
according to local Palestinian authorities and Israeli defense forces, 3 Palestinians were killed in Kafr Malik. The Palestinian Health Ministry said, though it was not immediately clear whether it was the Israeli soldiers or settlers who were responsible for the fatal shots. Really? I'm sure the IDF will do an investigation. In the nearby village of Taibeh, vigilantes speaking Hebrew were filmed
The instant you try to talk about like anything like this, people lose their shit.
setting fire to a vehicle earlier Wednesday, according to the
All I want to talk about is that there was some news apparently that Christians were attacked. That's all I want to. That's because I feel like, am I wrong when I say that? I feel like whenever Christians are attacked, it's downplayed by everybody. Like, I just feel like that's the case. Like, this is the same thing with like what happened in Africa, right? Like, if you want to talk freaking genocide, like what happened in Africa was basically that. They got a bunch of Christians together, they like put them in a church and they freaking beheaded them. Like, I mean, that's kind of like, and like nobody talked about it, right? And yet everybody's like, just, you know, Israel this, Israel that, Gaza this, Palestine this, and like everybody just constantly talking about this. Meanwhile, like a bunch of Christians like just murdered for their religion and like nobody cares. That's what I'm talking about. Like that's why I try to talk about these things, because nobody's covering it.
rights group B'Tselem, which acquired the video. The deadly clash in Kafir Malik was the latest instance of armed settlers carrying out violent raids against Palestinian villages in the West Bank, often with impunity in the presence of Israeli soldiers or directly with their help.
Really?
Internal Israeli military
Okay, who
data
said that,
showed
though?
crimes committed by...
Okay, this is WAPO? Is this Washington Post? I mean, okay, so now I'm thinking about the angle, right? The angle and the motive. Are they trying to basically counter... Right, because they would have a motive, right? If that were the case, right? And like you were a pro, like Palestine agenda person, this would be a good way to remove support from Christians for Israel, right? So like it would make sense that they would cover it in this way. See, but the thing is though, is again, the Vatican covered this, like I said, even though like this isn't like the words of the Pope, obviously, right? But like I feel like their motive would be to just talk about the actual thing happening, right? Like rather than trying to make this a specific like Israel issue, right? Like, they're talking about the events.
Soldiers and settlers against Palestinians in the West Bank.
But the Washington Post would definitely have a motive to basically say they're not your friends, right?
During the first 2 months of 2025, surged 30% compared with just a year earlier. That's from the Yedoth Aranath newspaper, citing and where did they get their information? Well, they got their information from Israeli security officials who were concerned by the uptick. Israeli security officials.
Every time I tell people that don't believe me, I go, if you'd like to know, go look at Israel's news, which is remarkably honest compared to our news,
Yes.
which is chewed up garbage to feed to idiot cow-brain children. But in Israel,
True.
they haven't had all the program we had for 12 years, so they're saying things that they would have said back after 9/11 that you'd like.
Wait, is he saying that like Israel doesn't have propaganda? That's kind of weird. Like I don't know about that.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, only a few people go, that's weird and racist. Back then, they're in that mode all day. So you can get a remarkably accurate picture of what they're doing.
The IDF said in a statement
It's
that
not
its
centralized as
soldiers
mind
were
frame, I see.
dispatched to quell a confrontation between
Yeah,
settlers
everywhere
and
has propaganda. Yeah.
Palestinians. Not an attack by settlers on the Palestinians, but a confrontation between them. See how they put this? This is amazing. That's why I have a show. But their attacks. But then the IDF soldiers were then attacked by rocks and fire. They put it in quotes.
Oh my God. Was it Iran?
From
Iranian rocks?
Maybe
Wait, hold on. But they were attacked by rocks and fire. Why would they?
it was inside the village. Troops then opened fire
Good. All right. they
on the
took care of it.
Palestinians, on the Christian Palestinians. The IDF then opened fire on them toward the source of the fire and the rock hurlers.
Yeah.
And later found that several people were injured and killed.
Couldn't this be a case of friendly fire though? It's possible that there was a case where there was a scuffle basically where it was instigated. So that, this is just like, I don't know if this is true, but I'm just saying like this is a scenario in which this could happen and it wouldn't be necessarily the IDF's fault. So say there's a situation in which the settlers basically started shit with the locals, and then they got into a fight, and then because of like what was happening, some rocks got thrown in the direction of the IDF, in which they lit them up, and it happened to be settlers. That's a possibility, right?
You know, I don't think they share our values, those Christians, and you know, they probably say racist stuff like Christ is king to themselves.
It's weird. They had this funny habit of sending more guys to quell the violence than that they actually started. Kafir Malik's mayor, Najim Dowd, told
Blink
the
twice if
Washington
Mossad
Post
has you
that settlers
compromised.
carrying M16
No,
rifles.
I'm just thinking logically. This has nothing to do with me being compromised or anything like that. I'm just basically, I'm thinking of cases in which, like, I'm trying to look at both sides of the story.
So Israeli settlers carrying M16s and Molotov
It's hard not to blink twice when you guys keep saying blink twice.
cocktails arrived at 7 p.m. local
It's kind of like when you do that thing and you say, like, you are now manually breathing, and then it...
time and burned 4 cars. When they tried to approach homes to set the homes ablaze, they were then surrounded by local Palestinians. Soon after that, the IDF arrived and tear gassed to disperse the clashing crowds, and also shot people.
Wait, question, Jimmy.
Yeah, like,
I'm a little confused.
Why did they
by
shoot
this.
people?
Settlers carry M16 rifles. I thought Israel has very strong gun laws. In fact, John Stewart used to comment, and liberals would go, maybe we should have Israeli-style gun laws where people can't have guns unless they're in the military. So why do these settlers have M16 rifles that they can carry around? Does anybody know the... I don't know the
Interesting.
answer. Yeah.
Then
Do
the
they?
soldiers started shooting live ammunitions at the residents, who were civilians who came to stop the fire and to defend their village with rocks and sticks.
Yeah.
And-
Oh, that'd be kind of weird. See, I mean, that does make sense to me. Like, if you don't have any weapons, like, you're being attacked, right? You're being attacked by some people that are like setting things on fire. You would try to fight them off with rocks and sticks, right? Wouldn't you? I mean, I know I would. It could be a fog of war effect, yeah.
Israel's still...
But here's a question though, like we should focus on the people who started this, which is like the settler people, right? Who started this whole thing.
losing.
Yeah.
Israel's still losing, and this is what they do.
And so that's from the mayor. And he disputed the IDF's claim that the Palestinians were the ones who fired guns at soldiers and accused the IDF soldiers of killing 3 people.
That's the
Okay.
Israeli mayor?
No, that's the West Bank Palestinian mayor.
This isn't Gaza, by the way.
Well, he's probably lying because, you know, they
Yeah, he's
don't share
Palestinian.
Judeo-Christian values.
The 5 Israelis, and they arrested 5 Israelis, and the 5 Israelis were released Thursday morning after being cleared of any suspicion.
Oh, were they at least allowed to rape some Palestinian young prisoners before they left to make up for it?
This guy is being a little too hardcore here. I want to focus on the facts here. The other guy, it's the guest, not the host. Like, we have here, like, the kind of statements here from Palestine. Daily attacks on Christians, I just feel like a lot of people, they kind of assume that Christians are such bad actors in the world for some reason that, like, nobody really cares when stuff happens to Christians. And again, it's kind of like it like, if you point at, for instance, like that LGBT thing, right, that we were talking about earlier, where they were saying, like, oh yeah, Christians commit all this violence against LGBT people, and I'm like, what Christians are you talking about? You know, like, I don't know what you're talking about when you say that. But I can point to like cases where it's the opposite. And, you know, I'm not saying that like that makes it okay, but what I'm saying is, like, this whole idea that Christians are some kind of nefarious force in this world, when there are nefarious forces from every angle. I don't think it tracks with, like, the data that Christians are overwhelmingly committing a lot of this violence. Like, I don't think it's true. In fact, I think a lot of the violence and the like, specifically against Christians is always downplayed. I feel like it's easy for people to laugh at Christians when they die and to criticize any time an event occurs, like when some crazy person, harms some other person, some other, like, religion or some other minority, and they try to pin it on Christians instantly, right? But whenever it goes the other way, nobody talks about it. And that's just kind of like how I see things, like, based on, that's just like my observation of reality. And it just feels really unfair to me. Like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm biased, right? But, like, I just feel like it's unfair. Like, okay, so another thing, like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if I'm going too deep on this thing. I know that religious topics are kind of toxic, especially when you take into account, like, specifically the teachings that are, like, by like, actual like prominent, you know, this isn't even just Christian too. This is also right wing. If you take any like prominent right wing person or prominent Christian person or anything like that, like anybody with any sort of like, you know, take what you will, a podcaster, political analyst, politician, take whatever you want, any of them, right? And you take like a conservative opinion, a right wing opinion, a Christian opinion. It's never gonna be as vile as like stuff that people that other groups say, right? Like for instance, you know, you have political groups, you know, saying things like death to America. You have leftists doing like violent political caricatures, right? Like you have like those cases of like celebrities who are like, you know, posting pictures of like Trump beheaded, and you have you know, Destiny saying like laughing at kids dying. Like you have like this real like vileness, right? That like is directed at people that are conservative and like Christian people. You just have this wild like just disregard of like any sort of like humanity, right? And then yet they point at like Christians and conservatives as being the bad actors. Like I feel like I'm living in like a backwards, like upside down world where, because I can tell you for a fact, I never been to a church that basically was saying like, oh yeah, you know, like those people should die or anything. I've literally never seen that, right? And that's like not even really in like the teachings of like, you know, like if you were to follow like Jesus's teachings, right? Like none of that is about like kind of super violent like rhetoric, right? And yet like how does this script get flipped, you know? Take a look at the media being consumed. It's all like, yeah, I don't know. That's why when I see like a story like this, I try to talk about it, because like I feel like nobody else is gonna do it, you know? That's why I talked about the Africa thing too. So anytime like something like this passes like my, you know, passes my desk, I see it, I want to like at least show it a little bit, right?